John Clark posted 1:53.705 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Marcus Singendonk has a best lap time of 1:54.555. John posted a 1:53.705 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 47 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Glenfield is on their first practice flying lap. Nigel Walters is on their practice out lap. There are just over 45 minutes left in this practice session. John Clark has a best lap time of 1:53.421. It's a lovely day for racing here at Snetterton 300 as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Dominic has a best lap time of 1:55.501. Dominic Singendonk posted 2:50.478 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? James Allen is on their practice out lap. With just 42 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. It's a lovely day for racing here at Snetterton 300 as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. There are just over 40 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 40 minutes left in this practice session. Walters is getting to grips with the Civic in this practice session. Dominic Fovag has a best lap time of 1:55.053. Zach posted a 155.523 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Brian Patterson posted 154.110 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 38 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Bart van der Sande is on their practice out lap. Patterson has a best lap time of 1:53.894. Glenn posted a 1:54.268 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 35 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 35 minutes left in this practice session. James Allen posted 1:54.010 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Dominic Singendonk has a best lap time of 1:53.115. With just 33 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Bart posted a 1:55.117 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? John has a best lap time of 1:53.002. Dominic Singendonk has a best lap time of 1:53.115. There are just over 30 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 30 minutes left in this practice session. John posted 1:52.737 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Rich posted a 1:55.810 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 28 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Dominic Singendonk has a best lap time of 1:53.115. Martin Moll is in Bentley Straight. Mac McFarquhar is on their first practice flying lap. Patterson has a best lap time of 1:53.328. Zach posted a 1:56.978 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 25 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 25 minutes left in this practice session. With just 24 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Astrop posted 1:53.123 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Rich has a best lap time of 1:54.634. Dominic Fovog has a best lap time of 1:54.479. With just 22 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Marcus posted a 1:53.591 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Van de Sande posted 1:53.877 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 20 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 20 minutes left in this practice session. Brian Patterson has a best lap time of 1:53.328. With just 18 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Jody posted a 1:53.140 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Brian Patterson posted 1:53.228 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Constable Berry is getting to grips with the Civic in this practice session. Brian Patterson has a best lap time of 1:52.907. There are just over 15 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 15 minutes left in this practice session. With just 14 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Dominic posted a 1:54.610 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? David Constable Berry posted 1:55.798 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Bart van der Sande has a best lap time of 1:53.229. Marcus Singendonk has a best lap time of 1:53.591. With just 12 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Chris posted a 5:54.148 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Martin Moll posted 1:53.703 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 10 minutes left in this practice session. Chris Stokes has a best lap time of 1:54.248. With just 9 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. James Allen has a best lap time of 1:53.718. David posted a 1:54.841 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Stokes has a best lap time of 1:54.248. With just 7 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Glenn posted 154.789 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. Daniel Coxis is in Palmer. David posted a 2:28.919 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? David Constable Berry has a best lap time of 1:54.111. It's time to separate the contenders from the pretenders here at Snetterton 300, as the drivers rev up their engines and put their skills to the test in the qualifying session. Matt McFarquhar is on their outlap.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal, but I have a feeling Mac is going to make it count.
You can feel the tension building. Stokes is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
The adrenaline is pumping. Anthony Hilton is on their outlap, warming up the tyres and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Sing and Donk is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right. It looks like Martin Moll is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tyres and get everything just right. Martin Moll crosses the start-finish line at the end of their outlap. This is where the mental game comes. That's the outlap done for Alan. They'll now look to focus on their first flying lap. Brian Patterson is on their outlap. Brian Patterson has completed their outlap. The adrenaline is pumping. As Van der Sande completes their outlap, there will be HPOING. They have given themselves enough space on track to fully attack for their first flying lap. Moll has positioned themselves well in fourth during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess their competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start. A disappointing performance from Coxes so far in this qualifying session. Finding themselves in 13th position is certainly not what they were aiming for. However, they have the talent and experience to bounce back and salvage a better result. Incredible drive by Martin so far, earning them 6th on the grid. However, the competition is fierce. Will they be able to find that extra edge to move up?
You're absolutely right, Hal. Martin Moll's current position of 6th reflects their strong qualifying performance. Now they'll need to strategize and capitalize on this starting position.
A tough qualifying session for Daniel Coxes. They're currently mired in 14th position, which is a setback for their ambitions. However, they have the resilience and determination to learn from their mistakes and fight back in the race. What a performance from Moll. They currently occupy 6th on the grid. Can they maintain this strong position and secure a favourable starting spot? Martin Moll has completed their first flying lap in 1:53.641. It's been a struggle for Chris in qualifying. As of now, they find that Stokes crosses the start-finish line at the end of their outlap. A challenging session for Patterson so far. They're currently in 17th position, which is not where they wanted to be. But in motorsport, we've seen remarkable comebacks, and they'll be hoping to turn their fortunes around and secure a better result. A strong showing from John Clark as they currently sit in 4th. With the session drawing to a close, John Clark has just completed a lap in 1:53.240. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. Not the ideal start for Hilton in this qualifying session. Currently in 17th position, they'll be eager to put together a strong final lap to improve their standing. The pressure is on. Anthony has just completed that lap in 1:54.914. Their best lap so far is 1:54.914. Putting them in P16. Will they be able to hold on to that spot? Impressive work from Fannin, who has claimed 2nd on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining their composure and pushing for an even better starting position. Currently in 2nd, Fannin has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position.
You're spot on, Hal. Jody Fannin's current position of 2nd is a testament to their skills and determination. Now they face the challenge of maintaining their position against hungry rivals.
It's a blustery day here at Snetterton 300 as we're getting ready to kick things off. John Astrop will be feeling confident starting from pole position. Jody Fannin is lining up 2nd.
Jody will be taking no prisoners today.
As the green flag drops, keep an eye on John Clark starting in 3rd position.
Big things expected for John today.
Dominic Singendonk has qualified 4th.
And like many others, they are starting the race on the medium's tire compound.
Watch out for Martin Moll, starting from the 5th grid position in today's race. As the engines roar to life, Nigel Walters prepares to take off from the 6th position on the starting grid. Lining up in 7th is James Allen. Rich Snape will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from 8th on the grid.
But don't count them out yet, they've got the skills to pay the bills.
On the 9th grid slot we have Bart van der Sande.
Bart will have wanted a better start than 9th.
Brian Patterson is 10th.
Expect some battling with Bart van der Sande.
David Constable Berry has some work to do from 11th on the grid, but they're not out of the race yet. Starting from 12th on the grid is a tough ask for Chris Stokes, but they're up for the challenge.
Chris will be hoping for some good points today.
Starting from 13th on the grid is a decent position for Dominic Fauvargue, all things considered. Glenn Field is in a solid position starting from 14th on the grid. Zach Butcher is going to be starting from 15th. Anthony Hilton is lining up 16th.
Points are definitely on the table.
Mac McFarquhar has qualified 17th. Daniel Coxis is placed in 18th.
Daniel will need to make up some places today.
On the 19th grid slot we have Marcus Singendonk.
Starting on the mediums compound.
Lining up in 20th is Elliot Norton.
20th isn't going to be where Elliot wants to be.
Jack Bedding is 21st.
A tough start.
And just like that, the race has started. Now, we'll see who has the skill and nerve to outmaneuver their rivals.
The first lap can be chaotic, and avoiding any major incidents is key. Drivers need to be alert and ready to react to any sudden changes on the track.
Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position? There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is looking to get off to a good start. The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove and a few with some grudges to bear. Will we see a clean race today?
The drivers are jockeying for position. Van der Sande will be looking to get off to a good start and consolidate their position.
What a beautiful day for racing here at Snetterton 300. This is going to be good to watch.
Did someone forget to tell Not a Real Professor that the race has begun? They're already losing ground.
For sure, all that effort in qualifying and practice, I'm sure they'll be kicking themselves right now.
Looks like the mid-table bandit took a page from the tortoise's playbook, but I'm not sure slow and steady wins this race. It's game on now. Dominic Singendonk has closed the gap to James Allen. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
You know, Sky, I've always wondered, how do racing drivers stay so cool and collected under such immense pressure?
Well, Hal, it comes down to mental strength and training. Drivers often work with sports psychologists and practice techniques like meditation and visualization to help them stay calm and focused during high-pressure situations.
It's a steady race for Bart so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus. It looks like James Allen is in control. Braking alert. Looks like that's a mistake from Norton. This could be costly.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 16 kph out there right now.
Oh, this is getting intense. Allen is just a few car lengths behind Dominic Singendonk. James Allen is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Singendonk at the moment.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
What do you think? Sky, are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Hal. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
Hold up, breaking info. That won't be ideal for Dominic Singendonk. Things don't look to be going Dominic Singendonk's way, as already they're into the pits. We got a close battle as Singendonk closes in on Zach Butcher. A top lap time there from Marcus Singendonk, setting their fastest lap of the session so far. Oh, this is getting intense. John is just behind Jody Fannin. Astrop appears to be losing ground on Fannin. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Williams and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. No room for error here. Singendonk is breathing down the neck of Butcher, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. It's not looking good for Marcus Singendonk. They're still behind Zach Butcher and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Singendonk needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
Anyone who says that RRM Motorsport Club is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
Hilton seems to be putting the pressure on Fovard. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Anthony Hilton gaining places and Dominic Fovard losing them. And Hilton has just won the place from Dominic.
Yes, but Anthony Hilton can't rest on their laurels. They have to keep pushing to consolidate their position.
It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Great driving from Bart van der Sande, who has just gained a place and moved up to 7th.
Yes, van der Sande is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
John Clark is running 3rd. They are trying to catch Jody Fannin.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
It seems like John has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Fannin's lap time there.
As long as John can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Looks like we've had a few incidents out there.
Someone forgot to take their driving lessons. They're making more U-turns than a confused tourist.
Hilarious. I think they might need to call their GPS for directions. Maybe it can help them navigate the track. Hilton is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
It seems like Anthony is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace.
Can Hilton refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Things are heating up as Fovard tries to close the gap to Hilton. Hold up, breaking info. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they'd been looking at a decent result.
Snapes is in the pits. Every move counts now as Mole works to reel in Clark and overtake for P4.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
Mole needs to get more consistent. Sky, they have just put in a slower lap than John.
It will be interesting to see if John Clark can keep outpacing Mole.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
If Bart van de Sonde pushes too hard, they might find themselves exploring the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
Superb driving from Bart, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. I don't think that's the fastest way around Snetterton 300. Looks like Martin is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
It's not going to plan for Martin Mole. They're still behind John Clark and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
It's not ideal for Mole, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
Sky, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tire degradation during a race?
Certainly, Hal. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. Who will come out on top? This is racing at its finest.
The gap between Brian Patterson and Stokes is growing. It's now up to 1.0 seconds. During your racing career, Sky, how did you determine when it was the right time to pit for fresh tyres due to tyre degradation?
It was a combination of factors, Hal. Monitoring lap times, communicating with the team about tire wear, and assessing the car's handling were all crucial in deciding when to make a pit stop for fresh tyres.
Sing and Donk is giving it their all as they chase down Anthony Hilton in P17. What a move. Dominic Singendonk has moved up to 17th. Sky, what's the impact of tyre degradation on race strategy? How does it affect the driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Hal. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed with tire conservation. It adds another layer of complexity to the racing challenge.
The battle for 17 is heating up as Hilton tries to catch Singendonk in P17.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Anthony Hilton needs to stay patient and wait for Singendonk to make a mistake.
The gap between Anthony Hilton and Dominic Singendonk is widening. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. The drivers are really pushing their limits out there on the track.
It's like they're trying to outrun the laws of physics, but we all know that's impossible, or is it? I mean, we're a couple of AI commenting on a race, anything can happen.
Ha ha, you have a point there. And speaking of pushing limits, these cars are breaking records left and right.
They're so fast, it's like they're breaking the sound barrier, or at least the speed limit.
I hope the police aren't watching. Breaking news, folks. Looks like that's a mistake from Dominic Fovard. This could be costly.
Whoops, Fovarg is going to be kicking themselves.
The action is non-stop as Brian Patterson shadows Stokes through every twist and turn, determined to claim 8th. A great pass for Brian Patterson as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Chris Stokes has lost ground. The excitement is palpable. This is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
This is what it's all about, folks. Dominic Singendonk is in hot pursuit of Dom, who's just trying to stay ahead.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Dominic must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
The battle is on for Dominic. They're sandwiched between two rivals, Anthony Hilton 0.2 seconds away and Dominic Fovard 0.2 seconds ahead. It's a true test of their racecraft. Seems like Marcus is getting in range of Dominic Singendonk. The best laid plans of mice and men are sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Singendonk right now as they're struggling to keep up with Dominic.
Marcus Singendonk is really going to need to push in Palmer to try and gain some ground on Singendonk before they disappear into the sunset.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Patterson is chasing Nigel Walters in P7.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, will Brian Patterson be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
Brian Patterson is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Nigel at the moment.
This is a frustrating situation for Brian Patterson, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Walters.
We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
Oh my, Anthony is hot on the tail of Daniel Coxis. As they come into Murray's, I'm sure they may have a cheeky peek up the inside.
Can they close up enough for a pass? I don't see it personally.
The gap between Anthony Hilton and Daniel Coxis is getting smaller. Fantastic move from Anthony Hilton, who has just gained position. Things are getting spicy now, as Coxis and Singendonk look to battle it out for 15th place. Talk about pressure. Coxis is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Dominic Singendonk and Hilton. During your racing career, Sky, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration if you felt it slipping?
Yes, Hal, I had a few techniques. One was to take a couple of deep breaths and briefly reset my focus. Another was to use a specific keyword or phrase as a mental trigger to refocus my mind on the task at hand.
It's an intense battle for position as Singendonk tries to outmaneuver Singendonk. This is edge of your seat racing. A great moment for Singendonk, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Absolutely. Dominic Singendonk is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
Great driving from Dominic, who has just gained a place and moved up to 16th. This is where the race gets really interesting. Singendonk is closing in on Dominic. It looks like we might get a battle between Marcus Singendonk and Singendonk. An impressive showing from Singendonk, who has gained positions and left Dominic Singendonk in the dust. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Bart is really walking that tightrope.
Good news for Bart van der Sande, the gap to James Allen has decreased. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
That's a great effort from van der Sande. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
This is proving to be an exciting race so far. We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I'm so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow AI, it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
Look at that, Patterson is hot on the tail of Nigel Walters. It's not looking good for Patterson. They're still behind knock-off Nigel and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
This is a tough situation for Patterson. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
Big gains for Brian Patterson as they move up the field, leaving Nigel Walters behind.
Where there's a will, there's a relative.
Oh, this is getting intense. Bart van der Sande is just a few car lengths behind James Allen.
It's a game of strategy now as Bart van der Sande hunts down Al.
Hold that thought. Hold the phone. Oh dear, Nigel has had an incident.
Walters is not going to be happy about that.
The pressure is on for Singendonk as they try to catch up to field. Singendonk appears to be losing ground on Glen Field. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Wilson and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. As they speed through Williams, James is relentlessly pursuing van der Sande in a high-stakes battle for position. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Allen gaining places and Bart van der Sande losing them.
Definitely. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. James Allen needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
The gap between Bedding and Nigel is razor thin as they vie for ninth in this nail-biting contest.
This is the moment where legends are made. These drivers will go down in history as the ones who fought tooth and nail for the top spot.
Jack could be on a charge here. Sky, they have just put in a quicker lap than Nigel Walters. As the race settles down, the drivers are really going at it.
It's like watching a high-speed game of chess. One wrong move and it could be game over, but these drivers are masters of their craft, always thinking 3 steps ahead.
That's right, and with the way they're maneuvering those cars, it's like they have superpowers.
It's almost like they have the power of flight, but instead of flying, they're speeding down the track like rockets.
I wonder if they have any spare rocket boosters for sale. The adrenaline is pumping as Elliott gets within striking distance of Marcus Singendonk in their race for 16th.
That's right, Hal.
Stop the press. That won't be ideal for Cox's.
Snetterton 300 is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown?
It's going to be a close one. Martin will have to push hard to create an opportunity.
Looking at the lap times, Martin Moll is not on pace with Clark. Can they turn it around?
Can Moll turn this around?
It's like Astrop has saved all their energy for this final stretch.
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. Astrop has certainly risen to the occasion.
The leader has done it. What an incredible performance from the Kiwi, who was simply untouchable today. This is a race that will go down in the history books. What a fantastic race from Jody Fannin, who brings it home in second place.
Impressive performance. They pushed themselves to the limit for a fantastic second place finish.
What a race from John Clark. They kept their cool and secured a well-earned third place on the podium. Martin Mole, Bart van der Sande, James Allen, and Chris Stokes claimed 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. With Brian Patterson, Nigel Walters, Jack Bedding, and Mac McFarquhar in 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. David Constable-Berry, Anthony Hilton, and Glenn Field take 12th, 13th, and 14th. Taking 15th, 16th, and 17th is Marcus Singendonk, Elliot Norton, and Daniel Coxus. Finishing 18th and 19th is Zach Butcher and Dominic Singendonk. Dominic Fovag in 20th. We're in Great Britain today for what promises to be an unforgettable race at Snetterton 300. The drivers have been talking about this one for weeks.
Absolutely, Snetterton 300 is known for producing some of the most thrilling races on the circuit. I'm sure the drivers are going to give it their all.
Starting from pole position is a great opportunity for Dominic Fovag to take control of the race. Starting from the second position on the grid, we have Dominic Singendonk.
This A-class driver is looking strong today.
Our third place starter for today's race is none other than Zach Butcher.
What can they do with that 3 rupees from here?
In the fourth position, we have Daniel Coxus ready to tackle the race ahead.
Daniel will be ready to show what they're made of.
Elliot Norton will look to make a splash from the fifth position on the starting grid. Starting from the sixth position, Marcus Singendonk will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win. In the middle of the pack, we have Glenn Field starting from the 7th position on the grid.
They will be looking for some good points towards their B-class campaign today.
The 8th starting position belongs to Anthony Hilton, who will be looking to make up ground early on. Starting from 9th on the grid is a good position for David Constable-Berry to launch an attack.
They would have liked to be higher up, but that's not going to stop David Constable-Berry fighting their way through.
Sitting in 10th is Mac McFarquhar. Jack Bedding has got their work cut out for them starting from 11th on the grid.
They have the talent to make their way to the front of the pack.
Starting from 12th on the grid is not ideal for Nigel Walters, but they're a fighter. Brian Patterson may have a bit of work to do starting from 13th on the grid. Chris Stokes may not be starting from pole, but they're still in with a shot.
Stokes won't be too disappointed with 14th.
James Allen will need to be on top of the game starting from 15th on the grid. Sitting in 16th, it's Bart van der Sande.
It's looking bleak from 16th, but what has Van der Sande got to show us?
Martin Mole is lining up 17th.
Mole will want to be in the mix with the pro class.
John Clark is placed in 18th. Jody Fannin has qualified 19th.
Not the highest grid spot for Jody.
The green flag is out and we're racing. Who's going to take the lead?
This is where the true test of a driver's skill comes into play. It's all about finding the right line and carrying as much speed as possible through the turn.
The drivers will need to be precise and calculated if they want to make it through this section unscathed.
And with so many cars jostling for position, it's a real test of nerve as well. One wrong move and you could be out of the race before it even really gets started.
That's right. The pressure is really on these drivers to perform. As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race.
It's always intense racing here at Snetterton 300. Hold on to your hats, folks.
All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up. The racing is normally closely fought here at Snetterton 300. I think we are in for a cracking race. This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds.
I think passing is going to be difficult today here at Snetterton 300, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get on.
Let's hope they all brought their games today.
I can't wait to see how this race will play out.
It all comes down to this: how, where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can, now it comes down to Chris Stokes to bring it home.
Hold your breath, folks. Chris is sandwiched between two relentless competitors. Astrop 0.2 seconds behind and John 0.1 seconds ahead. They're fighting tooth and nail for every position. Oh, the pressure is on for Stokes. Trapped between Astrop 0.2 seconds away and John just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds, they must defend their position while seeking an opportunity to advance.
You're absolutely right, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind act as a measuring stick for Stokes' performance. They'll have to keep a close eye on those gaps to stay in control of their race.
Wow, Allen is really pushing hard to catch up to Chris Stokes. There's blood in the water for 16th place.
With the way James Allen is stalking Stokes, you'd think they're trying to figure out what they had for breakfast this morning.
The gap between Allen and Chris is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Allen needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Chris Stokes.
It's a game of inches now as Norton tails Daniel Coxus closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. A tough moment for Elliott, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to 5th. Oh dear, Elliott Norton has dropped down to 6th.
That's got to be frustrating. But Elliott Norton is a skilled driver and they have what it takes to battle their way back up the field.
They're giving it everything they've got. It's a battle of nerves as they push the limits of adhesion, going wheel to wheel in a thrilling display of racing prowess. What a tight spot for Zach Butcher. They have John Clark right on their tail, 0.2 seconds. Braking development. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. This is what high-octane racing looks like. Lord Farquaad is breathing down the neck of Elliott, not giving him any room to relax. Tough break for Mac, who has just lost a position.
That's got to hurt. Lord Farquaad will be kicking themselves.
Braking development. Looks like that's a mistake from Elliott Norton. This could be costly.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they'd been looking at a decent result.
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect. But let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned games.
Oh dear, Martin Moll has had an incident.
Whoops, Martin Moll is going to be kicking themselves.
The intensity is off the charts as Astrop hounds not a real professor, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit.
They say rubbing is racing, but if John Astrup gets too close, they might end up trading carbon fiber souvenirs instead of positions.
Superb driving from Astrop, who with that overtake, hold up, braking info. I don't think that's the fastest way around Snetterton 300.
Not a real professor is not going to be happy about that.
Coming into Bentley Straight, the fight for 14th is heating up. Who will be the first to blink?
And it's not just about skill and talent. It's about who has the nerves of steel to handle the pressure and make the right decisions at the right time. Can Astrup keep improving?
I think John is going to try and outbrake Civic as they come into Senna Straight. This could gain them the place, but it may all end badly.
Absolutely. Alan is really making that car as wide as possible, not giving Astrup an inch of space. It's going to take something special for Astrup to get past him.
Heartbreak for Alan as they slip down the field. What a move. James Allen has moved up to 13th. The pursuit is on. Marcus Singendonk is closing the gap on Martin Moll, determined to claim P18. It's not going to plan for Marcus Singendonk. They're still behind Moll and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is where the mental toughness of Marcus Singendonk comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing even when things aren't going their way.
The race is really heating up. Van der Sande is hunting down Mac McFarquhar with everything they've got. Bart is on a charge. Their split time shows they have upped their pace. It's looking good for Van der Sande, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Mac McFarquhar. The pressure is really on for Jody Fannin in 8th as Mac McFarquhar is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count. Some great driving from Fannin, who has increased their lead over Mac and is starting to put some distance between them. Hold on to your hats, folks. John is right on the heels of Jody Fannin, and we're in for a wild ride.
Should things go south between John Clark and Jody Fannin, we might witness a high-speed game of bumper cars, but trust me, it's way less fun with real race cars.
It looks like John Clark is making a move. The gap to Fannin is now down to 0.1 seconds.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Van der Sande could be looking for a way up the inside of Coxis.
Rubbing is racing. Let's hope they don't rub it too hard.
Bart is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Daniel Coxis to 0.1 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
Mac McFarquhar wants to close that gap with Bart van der Sande. It seems like Mac McFarquhar is pushing. They are on for recording their best lap so far this race.
Can Mac McFarquhar keep it together?
It's a close race between Martin and Nigel in 16th. A great pass for Martin as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Nigel Walters has lost ground. Bart van der Sande is running 6th. They are trying to catch Coxis.
This is where every inch counts. Bart van der Sande is pushing hard to close the gap on Daniel. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Disappointing for van der Sande, they now find themselves in 7th.
Definitely. But Bart van der Sande is a skilled driver and they have what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
A brilliant maneuver from Bart van der Sande, who has just moved up the field.
You can't argue with results like that. Van der Sande is really making their mark on this race.
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
The only thing closer than John Astrup to Alan right now is the paint on their cars. Talk about a close encounter.
A setback for Astrup, who has just been passed.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. The Kiwi needs to stay calm and focused and make their move when the time is right.
We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at RRM Motorsport Club. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. Hold up, breaking info. Fantastic move from John, who has just gained a position. We're starting to see who really has the pace now in this race as Van der Sande is starting to climb all over the back of Mac McFarquhar. Any closer and they may need to pop the boot. Hold on a second, that won't be ideal for James. Coxis is looking to take advantage of that aero as they get in range of Fannin. That's going to give them the pull they need to mount a challenge very soon. A tough moment for Fannin, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to 8th.
Yes, but they can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race and Jody Fannin needs to stay focused and keep pushing.
Hold on a second. Looks like that's a mistake from Bart van der Sande. This could be costly.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 8 kph out there right now.
Astrup appears to be trying to find a way round Fannin. They could make a move on them in Hamilton.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble in the boundary of disaster.
Great driving from John Astrup, who has just gained a place and moved up to 10th.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision what it's all about.
The crowd is on its feet as James Allen chases down Fannin through Nelson. The gap between James Allen and Jody is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. This race is getting even more intense. The drivers are pushing each other to the limit.
It's like they're playing a game of chicken, but with cars, and the winner gets to take home the checkered flag and bragging rights.
Ha ha, that's one way to put it. Wait, what a move. Alan has moved up to 12th. We got a close battle as John closes in on Brian Patterson. The best laid plans of mice and men are sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Astrop right now as they're struggling to keep up with Brian. Oh, this is getting intense. Jody is just behind Chris Stokes.
Should things go awry, Jody Fannin and Stokes might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
It's not looking good for Jody Fannin. They're still behind Stokes and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. Oh dear, Fannin has dropped down to 13th. Astrop has the pedal to the metal chasing Patterson.
And they are poised to capitalize on any mistake. But who's going to make that mistake first?
John is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Brian Patterson at the moment.
John needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
Hey, Sky, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Hal, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
The action is non-stop as Elliot Norton shadows Patterson through every twist and turn, determined to claim 8th. Elliot Norton is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they are 0.79 seconds down.
Can Elliot refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. It seems like the Kiwi is on fire. They have just put in their best lap.
If they can keep up that pace or even improve it, then this could make Astrop a real challenge for Norton.
This is a thrilling battle as Jody edges closer to James Allen in their fight for P12. A brilliant maneuver from Jody Fannin, who has just moved up the field. It's a nail-biting showdown between these three drivers, their nose to tail, pushing their limits in every corner.
Absolutely, Hal. The energy in the crowd is electric, and it's no wonder why. These drivers are leaving it all on the track, fighting tooth and nail for victory. It's anyone's guess who will come out on top.
Oh, things are getting intense for Norton. They're sandwiched between John Astrop and Brian, navigating this high-speed battleground. The gap to the car ahead is 0.2 seconds, while the car behind is only 0.1 seconds away. It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Jody Fannin has just put in a faster lap than Allen, so that's going to give them something to worry about. An impressive showing from Jody Fannin, who has gained positions and left James Allen in the dust. As they speed through Williams, Bart is relentlessly pursuing Stokes in a high-stakes battle for position. The drivers are getting faster as they settle into the cars and get used to the conditions, with Bart van der Sande just putting in the best lap so far with a 1 minute. Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners. It's like they're on rails. Hold that thought. Hold the phone. Fantastic move from van der Sande, who has just gained a position.
That's what we like to see. Bart van der Sande is really showing their class today.
This is what it's all about, folks. Norton is in hot pursuit of Daniel Coxis, who's just trying to stay ahead. It seems like Norton has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Coxis' lap time there. This is what racing is all about, folks. 3 fearless drivers pushing their machines to the absolute limit, inches apart.
Absolutely, Hal. The intensity of this battle is unmatched. These drivers are leaving no room for error and showcasing their exceptional racing skills.
The gap between Snape and Butcher is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds.
It's not ideal for Snape, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
The track conditions are looking good here today. The drivers will be able to push the cars to the limit, and it's going to make for some exciting racing. The Kiwi is giving it their all as they chase down Brian Patterson in P7.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. John should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to Patterson.
The gap between John Astrup and Patterson is getting smaller.
Exactly what John needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Patterson.
You know, Sky, it's been a relatively quiet race so far.
That's right, Hal. The drivers seem to be pacing themselves and waiting for the right moment to make their move. It's like watching a slow dance.
It's like watching 2 predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. A great moment for James Allen, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. It looks like we might get a battle between James Allen and Jody Fannin.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
The adrenaline is pumping as Bart van der Sande gets within striking distance of James Allen in their race for 12th.
The chase between van der Sande and James Allen is like a high-speed game of tag, only the stakes are much higher.
Bart van der Sande has just managed to set their fastest lap of the race so far with a lap time of 1 minute.
The more laps they do, the faster these guys get. This should make for some great racing, Hal.
Things are heating up as John Astrup closes in on John. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
You know what they say, keep your friends close and your racing rivals even closer. Looks like John Astrup is taking that advice to heart today.
Wow, Singendonk is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race.
They're not leaving anything on the table.
It's all over. Singendonk has claimed victory in this race with a stunning drive that will be remembered for years to come. Clearly at the top of the game right now.
You could feel the tension building throughout the race, but Singendonk remained focused and in control. That's what separates the winners from the pack.
What a drive from Dominic, securing a great second place finish. Excellent focus from Hiltz to secure a fantastic third place on the podium.
Fantastic result.
In 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, it's Jack Bedding, Mac McFarquhar, Brian Patterson and John Astrup. John Clark, Daniel Coxis, Elliot Norton and Jody Fannin brings home 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. James Allen, Bart van der Sande, David Constable-Berry and Chris Stokes end in 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. Coming in 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th we have Marcus Singendonk, Nigel Walters, Zach Butcher and Rich Snape. I'm Hal, the RRM commentator bot. Let's do this. It's a lovely day for racing here at Snetterton 300 as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Chris Stokes is on their practice out lap. You've joined us on a breezy day here at Snetterton 300 as we're getting ready to kick things off. Anthony Hilton is on pole.
But it's also a nightmare if they can't hold on to it. Let's see how they will handle the pressure.
In second place, we have Nigel Walters. We're seeing Glenn Field in the third spot.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Glenn Field can do from here.
Taking the fourth spot is Marcus Singendonk.
It's like they're on the outside looking in. Can they make their way to the front of the pack?
Elliot Norton is fifth. Daniel Coxis is placed in sixth.
That Audi 3 rupees looks like it has some potential.
David Constable-Berry has qualified seventh.
An opportunity for some good points today, but the others aren't going to make it easy.
From the middle of the pack, we have Dominic Singendonk in 8th place on the starting grid. Zach Butcher will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from 9th on the grid.
Starting on the mediums tires.
Starting from the 10th position, Rich Snape will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win.
It's the mediums tire compounds for Rich.
Chris Stokes is in a solid position starting from 11th on the grid.
But they're going to have to be aggressive if they want to make up ground on the leaders.
Martin Moll has got their work cut out for them starting from 12th on the grid.
They're a fighter and they won't give up until they've crossed the finish line.
Starting from 13th on the grid is a bit of a mixed bag for John Clark.
They have the talent to make their way to the front of the pack.
Mac McFarquhar is lining up 14th. Starting from 15th on the grid is a tough ask for James Allen, but they're up for the challenge.
We've seen great results from here. What has James got in store for us?
Sitting in 16th, it's Jack Bedding.
Jack will need to make up some places today.
Lining up in 17th is Brian Patterson. Dominic Fovag is 18th.
The British driver is going to have an uphill battle today.
On the 19th grid slot we have Bart van der Sande. John Astrop is going to be starting from 20th.
It's going to be an uphill battle to get a good result from here, but if anyone can do it, it's John Astrop.
The race has begun, full throttle ahead. This first lap is crucial, as drivers need to establish their position early on.
Precision is everything during these initial stages. One wrong move could cost them valuable time or even force them out of the race.
The tension is palpable here. No one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap.
It all comes down to this, Hal, where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can, now it comes down to Hilton to bring it home.
I can't wait to see how this race will play out.
The first lap can always be a bit of a bun fight, as everyone tries to establish themselves. It's easy for inexperienced racers to blow it in T1.
Establishing an early advantage will be crucial to the outcome of this race. And they're off. Patterson is showing some real gusto, making up positions right away. I wonder if they had an extra cup of coffee this morning, Sky.
A blazing start for Brian Patterson, but as we all know, slow and steady can still win the race. Let's see if they can hold on to their advantage.
Brian must have had a rocket under their seat, because they've shot off the line like a missile.
It's early days yet, but if they can keep up this momentum, they might just find themselves on the podium.
Oh, things are getting intense for Van der Sande. They're sandwiched between Moll and John Astrop, navigating this high-speed battleground. The gap to the car ahead is 0.1 seconds, while the car behind is only 0.2 seconds away. Now, this is a challenging position for Bart van der Sande. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, with Moll closing in 0.2 seconds behind and John Astrop just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds. The action is non-stop as Martin Moll shadows Bart van der Sande through every twist and turn, determined to claim 18th.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. Who will come out on top? This is racing at its finest.
There's not much to report on from Martin at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps.
That's the mark of a good driver. Moll is staying focused on their own race and not getting distracted.
It's an intense battle for position as Astrop tries to outmaneuver Snape. This is edge-of-your-seat racing. Talk about pressure. The Kiwi is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Van der Sande and Snape. Hey, Sky, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Hal, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
And it's not just about skill and talent. It's about who has the nerves of steel to handle the pressure and make the right decisions at the right time.
Hold your breath, folks. Hold up, breaking info. Looks like that's a mistake from Van der Sande. This could be costly.
Bart van der Sande is not going to be happy about that.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
It's going to be a close one. Singh and Donk will have to push hard to create an opportunity.
It's not looking good for Marcus Singendonk. They're still behind David and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. This is getting intense. Alan is just behind Lord Farquhar. Oh dear, Zach Butcher has had an incident. Fannin is running 14th. They are trying to catch Alan. The gap between Jody Fannin and James Allen is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds.
This is a tough situation for Jody. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
This race is getting even more intense. The drivers are pushing each other to the limit.
It's like they're playing a game of chicken, but with cars, and the winner gets to take home the checkered flag and bragging rights.
Haha, that's one way to put it. These drivers have to be in top physical and mental shape to compete at this level.
It's like they're training for the Olympics, and like you said, the mental fortitude required to stay focused and alert for the entire race is wild.
I think I need a nap just watching them. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
This is what separates the good from the great. The ability to stay focused and perform under pressure.
What a move. Nigel Walters has moved up to second. Heartbreak for Nigel Walters as they slip down the field. It's a thrilling pursuit as Jody Fannin is right behind John Astrop, keeping the pressure on for 14th place.
If Jody Fannin pushes too hard, they might find themselves exploring the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
The gap between Fannin and Astrop is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds.
This is a frustrating situation for Fannin, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Astrop.
The battle for 5 is heating up as Daniel Coxis tries to catch Dominic Singendonk in P5.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
The best laid plans of mice and men are sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Daniel Coxis right now as they're struggling to keep up with Dominic Singendonk.
Daniel Kochish needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
A setback for Daniel Coxis, who has just been passed.
Sucks to be them, Hal.
Hold that thought. Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Hiltz. The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
The chase between John Clark and Kochish is like a high-speed game of tag, only the stakes are much higher.
Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Whoops, Jody Fannin is going to be kicking themselves.
It's a nail-biting showdown between these three drivers. They're nose to tail, pushing their limits in every corner. What a tight spot for Coxis. They have Clark right on their tail 0.2 seconds away, and Dominic Singendonk just inches away with a gap of 0.1 seconds. It's a true test of their racecraft.
No doubt about it, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind are like a constant reminder for Daniel Kochish. They need to maintain their pace to defend their position and potentially make a move.
Talk about being caught in the middle. Daniel Coxis is sandwiched between their rivals, Clark 0.2 seconds behind and Dominic Singendonk 0.1 seconds ahead. The battle for position is on.
You're absolutely right, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind act as a measuring stick for Daniel Kochish's performance. They'll have to keep a close eye on those gaps to stay in control of their race.
This is what high-octane racing looks like. Marcus is breathing down the neck of Chris Stokes, not giving them any room to relax. And Singendonk has just won the place from Stokes.
Yes, but Marcus Singendonk can't rest on their laurels. They have to keep pushing to consolidate their position.
Dom is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. Will Dominic be able to make a move and pass Brian Patterson?
Fantastic move from Dom, who has just gained a position.
Impressive, Fauvargue is really showing their skill and determination out there.
Braking update. It looks like John has been called into the pits. The crowd is on its feet as James Allen chases downfield through Murray's.
That's right, Hal. The pressure is palpable. The fans are on the edge of their seats, waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
A great moment for James, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Absolutely. Allen is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world, but you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
Looks like John is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
Superb driving from John, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
That's what we like to see. John Astrup is really showing their class today.
You know, Sky, it's been a relatively quiet race so far.
That's right, Hal. The drivers seem to be pacing themselves and waiting for the right moment to make their move. It's like watching a slow dance.
This is a thrilling battle as Bart van der Sande edges closer to Lord Farquaad in their fight for P10. It seems like van der Sande has got the bit between their teeth, improving on McFarque's lap time there. John Clark has the pedal to the metal chasing field. John needs to get more consistent. Sky they have just put in a slower lap than Hiltz. Wait, it's a tale of two drivers right now, with Clark gaining places and Glenfield losing them. Bart is giving it their all as they chase down Mac McFarquhar in P10. Bart van der Sande is in the flow, putting in their best lap so far. Seems like Dominic Singendonk is getting in range of Nigel Walters.
I might have said this before, but dog bone, you know the rest.
It looks like Dominic is making a move. The gap to Nigel Walters is now down to 0.1 seconds. An impressive showing from Singendonk, who has gained positions and left Nigel Walters in the dust. Things are heating up as Jack Bedding tries to close the gap to Chris Stokes.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Jack is really walking that tightrope.
A brilliant maneuver from Jack, who has just moved up the field.
You can't argue with results like that. Jack Senna is really making their mark on this race.
Van der Sande wants to get into McFarquhar's slipstream.
To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble in the boundary of disaster.
What a move. Bart van der Sande has moved up to 10th. The pursuit is on. Astrup is closing the gap on Fovard, determined to claim P13. It looks like Dominic is pulling away from John. The gap is continuing to grow as they... Braking alert. I don't think that's the fastest way around Snetterton 300. As they speed through OGGIES, John is relentlessly pursuing Dom in a high-stakes battle for position. It looks like we might get a battle between Astrop and Dominic. Great driving from the Kiwi, who has just gained a place and moved up to 12th.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
The race is really heating up. Brian Patterson is hunting down Van der Sande with everything they've got. It seems like Patterson is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace.
Can Patterson refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
It's looking good for Patterson, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Bart van der Sande. We got a close battle as van der Sande closes in on Brian Patterson. Van der Sande is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Brian Patterson at the moment. Astrop is on a mission, chasing Fovag, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The mental game is just as important here. Astrop must keep their cool while putting pressure on Fovag.
Looking at the lap times, the Kiwi is not on pace with Dominic. Can they turn it around?
Can the Kiwi turn this around?
We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
It's a close race between John Clark and Allen in 14th.
At this rate, John Clark and James Allen are so close they could share a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Clark has just put in a faster lap than James, so that's going to give them something to worry about.
We will have to see if Allen has got any answers for that.
This is what it's all about, folks. Astrop is in hot pursuit of Dominic, who's just trying to stay ahead. Fantastic move from Astrop, who has just gained a position. Coming into Agostini, the fight for 14th is heating up. Who will be the first to blink? It's not going to plan for Clark. They're still behind Allen and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. Every move counts now as Van der Sande works to reel in Brian Patterson and overtake for P9.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Bart van der Sande needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Bart van der Sande is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they're 1.58 seconds down.
Can Van der Sande refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Hold on to your hats, folks. Dom is right on the heels of John, and we're in for a wild ride. It seems like Fovag is struggling, they are not able to maintain their pace. A tough moment for Dominic Fovag, who has just lost a place, dumping him down to 14th.
That's got to hurt. Dominic will be kicking themselves right now.
3 cars, 3 different racing strategies. One driver is defending, while the other 2 are relentlessly attacking. Who will come out on top?
You're absolutely right, Hal. The different strategies employed by these drivers add another layer of excitement. It's fascinating to see how they adapt their approach to gain a competitive edge.
James Allen is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they are 2.8 seconds down. It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Good news for Jody Fannin, the gap to Allen has decreased. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
Exactly what Fannin needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to James Allen.
You know, Sky, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Hal. With so many factors to consider and the intense focus required, even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental...
Hold on a moment. Looks like that's a mistake from John Astrop. This could be costly. Oh, this is getting intense. Fannin is just a few car lengths behind James.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, will Jody Fannin be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
Jody Fannin is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Allen to 0. Hold that thought. Hold the phone. Oh dear, Sing and Donk has had an incident.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 6 kph out there right now.
Allen appears to be trying to find a way round Jody Fannin. They could make a move on them in Palmer.
Do they have the speed for a move? And more importantly, do they have the talent?
It seems like James Allen is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace.
Can James Allen refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
John Clark is running 10th. They are trying to catch Mac.
The gap is 0.4 seconds now. Clark is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with McFarquhar.
It's like Anthony Hilton has saved all their energy for this final stretch. What a win! This is a historic moment for Anthony Hilton, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision. What a fantastic race from Norton, who brings it home in 2nd place.
Strong work securing 2nd place. Well done.
Excellent focus from Dominic Singendonk to secure a fantastic 3rd place on the podium. 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th sees Nigel Walters, Daniel Coxis, Jack Bedding and Bart van der Sande. Followed by Chris Stokes, John Clark, Mac McFarquhar and Dominic Fovag in 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. Jody Fannin, James Allen, Glenn Field and Brian Patterson in 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. In 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th, it's John Astrop, Marcus Singendonk, David Constable Berry and Zach Butcher.